Hi, my name is Dr. David Olowski. Welcome. It's great to have you tuning in as we walk through different scriptures. For example, Daniel chapter 11. We're studying Daniel 11 verse to verse through these videos that portray in great detail the ascent of the Antichrist and all that he will do. In this one chapter alone, the entire tribulation period, from its inception to its conclusion at Armageddon, is foretold. It's vital, if you have yet to read my book, The Rapture, the Tribulation Reign of the Antichrist, to get it so that you can not only see how the Antichrist will scheme his way into power, but how he will rule as the dreadful, terrifying, and extremely strong fourth beast, 7-7. He is described as devouring and crushing and trampling down the earth. We're picking up in Daniel 11, verse 36. It says, "Then the king, the Antichrist, will do as he pleases, and he will exalt and magnify himself above every god, and will speak monstrous things against the God of gods. And he will prosper until the indignation is finished. For that which is decreed will be done." End quote. Starting in the first half of the tribulation, the Antichrist will become increasingly blasphemous towards Jesus and by extension God. He will continually prosper in this until the time of the indignation or abomination of desolation. At that time, the two witnesses, Moses and Elijah, will come forth from heaven and will call down judgments on those who pledge devotion to him and take his mark. Please note that as soon as the abomination of desolation occurs, the angel Gabriel will cast down flaming meteors from heaven. Note Revelations 8, 3-5. 6 months after this, Isaiah 16:14, the trumpet bowl judgments will begin to fall, and within a year of that, Isaiah 21:16, all the splendor of the earth will be lost. But back to our text in Daniel 11:37. It says, "He, the Antichrist, will show no regard for the gods of his fathers, or for the desire of women, nor for any god, for he will magnify himself above them all." The Antichrist will proclaim himself to be God. Verse 38, "But instead he will honor a god of fortresses, Satan, a god whom the ancestors did not know. He will honor him with gold, silver, and costly stones and treasures." This speaks of the Antichrist honoring Satan and giving to him the precious souls of all his followers. Verse 39, "He, the Antichrist, will take action against the strongest of fortresses with the help of a foreign god, Satan, and he will give great honor to those who acknowledge him and will cause them to rule over the many and will parcel out land for a price." End quote. The Antichrist will take action against the strongest of fortresses, or the protected side of Jerusalem. He will honor everyone who worships Satan and will put them in charge of the peoples. But his honoring will be entirely conditional. As it says, he will parcel out land for a price. The price will be loyalty. Verse 40, at the end, the king of the south, Satan, will nagaj, push him, and together will storm against the king of the north with chariots, with horsemen, and with many ships, and he will enter countries, overflow them, and pass through. At the end, or in preparation for Armageddon, the true king of the south, Satan, will push the Antichrist to rise up against the king of the north, Jesus. Even as it says in Revelation 16, 13-14, and 16, how they will go forth to draw the nations to Armageddon. As stated earlier, the 4 angels that are released from the Euphrates rivers will likely help them. Verse 41, quote, "He will also enter the beautiful land, and many countries will fall, but these will be rescued out of his hand, Edom, Moab, and the foremost of the sons of Ammon." The Antichrist will enter the beautiful land, or Israel, and many countries will be forced to present themselves at Armageddon with him, or be defeated. But several countries will slip through his hand, even those that reside to the east of the Dead Sea or Arabia. Verse 42, "Then he will stretch out his hand against other countries, and the land of Egypt will not escape. Near the end, the Antichrist will even strike Egypt and destroy it, verse 42. Verse 43, the Antichrist will gain control over Egypt's den of treasures, and those of Africa will follow him to Armageddon's battlefield. Verse 44 states that those from the east, China, and north, Europe, etc., will resist coming to Armageddon, but the Antichrist will strike out with wrath. This will likely take the form, as noted, of the Antichrist sending forth the 4 angels that are bound at the great river Euphrates, which are being prepared for that day and hour. Note Revelations 9:14-15. These angels strike down those who refuse to come to the battle. Their death threats are effective in that they gather 200 million to Armageddon, Revelations 9:16. Verse 45 states that the Antichrist will, quote, pitch his tents between the royal pavilion, between the seas, and the beautiful holy mountain, or Jerusalem, that resides on Mount Moriah. The land between the seas is Megiddo, from which the name Armageddon arises. Imagine not only a human army, but a demonic horde poised over Jerusalem like an ominous cloud. Daniel tells the end of it, that the Antichrist makes his last stand camped against Jerusalem, where he comes to his end, quote, with no one to help him, end quote. Revelations 19:20 states that the Antichrist will be seized along with the false prophet, and together they will be cast into the lake of fire. What an ending. Daniel says, now I will tell you the truth. And he has. In my book, The Rapture, the Tribulation Reign of the Antichrist, you will see the frightening prelude to these ravaging events. Using 220 scriptures, my book depicts the plausible, disquieting endgame of the Antichrist as he deceives the world during his reign of terror. Don't miss it. Our next video looks into the shorter chapter of Daniel 12. My name is Dr. David Olowski. Thanks for tuning in.